absolutely brilliant. It is absolutely fantastic what they are doing, and it's honestly captivated the wrestling world. So yeah, there's lots to talk about. I really wanted this to like have some kind of substance to it. I didn't want to just sit here and talk random theories and talk about random bits of information. I wanted to make sure that we would definitely add in some stuff that I think you will find interesting. And so there's a couple of theories out there that you may or may not have seen that I think are very interesting. But more importantly than that, they actually will require you to keep an eye out for the third clue. And there's some stuff that you need to be aware of. And there's things that you need to be looking out for. So we will touch on those. Those we'll leave for a little bit. We've got a few little bits and bobs to kind of discuss first. And we've got a few things to go through first. Obviously, we can just do a quick recap, bring everyone kind of up to speed. Then we can talk about some of the kind of individual theories. And then we will get to those two pretty big theories, which I think are really, really interesting. Really interesting. Then I think what we'll do is we'll go over to the chat and we'll get like your thoughts and kind of go through that and see what you lot are saying, what you lot are thinking. And yeah, we'll kind of wrap it up. We'll probably be done in around about an hour. I'm kind of aiming for that. Maybe an hour and a half at most, maybe. I mean, I tend to say these things and then in 5 hours time, we're still here. But yeah, just as a ballpark, that's kind of what we're aiming for. Danny Barnhouse in the chat saying hello to everyone that is watching us live on YouTube. And a big shout out and a big thank you to everyone that's joining us. So let's just do a quick recap of White Rabbit. So this began with a track being played. It was during a commercial break on SmackDown, and it was White Rabbit by the band Jefferson Airplane. Now, White Rabbit is all about Alice in Wonderland. Obviously, it's got big connections to Alice in Wonderland. Now, this track has been played at house shows. It keeps getting played during commercial breaks. It's never actually been played on the show. And I think that's so interesting that they have never actually done anything with this White Rabbit stuff during the show. The only thing that we get during the show are QR codes. So QR codes keep popping up. People can scan them, and then it will take them to these clues. It's so interesting. WWE have done things similar to this before. WWE did something down in NXT earlier this year where a QR code popped up. You scanned it, and I think it like gave you like a cryptic clue, and it basically announced the return of Zoe Stark. So maybe not as exciting as what people were hoping for, but definitely they have experimented with QR codes before. And so that's the only thing that's been on the shows. Now, we've had 2 clues so far. The first one was a game of Hangman, and there's lots to kind of take out of that. We're not going to focus on that because, in all fairness, that first clue, I think we have already ripped it apart. We've done like a 50-minute theory video on it, and we're certainly going to reference it, and we are going to go back to it, and we will talk about it a lot, but we're not going to talk about it too much. But the bottom line was, it was a game of Hangman. There was lots of references in there to different superstars. And so after that first clue, I think the majority thought that it was Bray that this was pointing towards. But there was other people that you could point at as well. So there was like an hourglass in the corner, and people were saying that's Karrion Kross. There was the demon word at the bottom that the rabbit guessed. And so people were saying that was Finn Balor. So, you know, yes, there was a lot to Bray, but there was definite references or seemingly references made to other superstars as well. So that was clue 1. Then, obviously, on SmackDown, we've had clue 2. Clue 2 was a game you could actually play, which, first of all, was amazing, and also I found a little bit difficult. But it was a game like where you took a rabbit and took it through a maze, and you went through this maze, you got to the center, and then you got a word. Now, there's a lot to talk about, certainly in regards to that word that you got. And it seems like there was a few different words that people were getting. And so we can obviously dig into that. So that is where we are. We've had 2 clues, and the third clue seems like it's going to be on Raw. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of take that moment just to bring people up to speed. It's always difficult to know where people are with this story. That there could be, and I would imagine there are people, believe it or not, that are watching Raw and watching SmackDown that haven't noticed the QR codes, or maybe they have, but they haven't scanned them. And this whole White Rabbit thing is just completely passing them by. Because in all fairness, there's nothing else on the show apart from the QR codes. And if you're not someone that's going to be jumping onto social media, if you're not someone that's going to be like, you watch the shows, but you don't really do any more than that. Like if it's on, you'll watch wrestling. But if it's not, then fine, you're not going to watch it, like kind of a thing. You're a casual. This whole thing could be passing you by. So it's brilliant for us hardcore fans. And actually, there was a report that came out that this is a new strategy from Triple H. Triple H apparently said to some financial experts that one of their marketing strategies is to do this kind of Easter egg approach for the hardcore fans. So it seems like this is being driven by Triple H, obviously in conjunction with whoever this superstar is. So it could be Triple H and Bray. If this isn't Bray, then Triple H is working with whoever this is. And so I must admit, it does feel like Bray, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and say 100% that it is Bray, because we have been down these roads before. There's been lots of times where we saw like the Edge vignettes, and the Edge vignettes had lots of things in there that made people think that it was more than just Edge. But then it turned out it was just Edge who came back at SummerSlam. But there was a lot of people that were saying, no, it can't just be Edge. They wouldn't do all of this just for Edge. And then it turned out it was just for Edge. So you do have to just err on the side of caution. And you do just have to keep that slightly open mind, because I think that you could run the risk of being disappointed. So I keep saying it. And again, I'm trying to make this a bit of a one-stop shop. I'm keeping an open mind because I want to enjoy the journey. I'm loving the White Rabbit stuff. I'm loving all of your theories. I want all your theories. We're going to get to all your theories. But I wanted to make sure that we definitely touched on a couple of big theories at the start. And so we are going to do that. The other thing I want to mention as well is that the Discord for the channel is open to all. The link is in the description. In the Discord, there's obviously a great conversation that's just constantly happening in there around White Rabbit. That, as you can imagine, will explode during Raw as we start getting more information and more clues. The other thing that I've added is I've started to, and I haven't got very far, but I'll try and add to it tonight. I'm starting to write out all of the theories, any theory that I can see about anything. I'm just going to put it on a channel that people can't interact with. You can just read it. And I'm just going to list all the theories. I'd love if there was 200 different theories in there, because if you can just have all of the theories written down, there might be something that connects them. There might be something that you notice that then creates a whole new theory. And so this thing that, might not be quite right, the theory might have some flaws. Someone could come along and go, okay, but what if it's actually this? And then they could build on it. So yeah, we're really setting up like a really nice kind of community around all these theories. So if you want to join the Discord and join that conversation, the link is in the description. Obviously, we do the live watch-alongs as well, and obviously dominated by White Rabbit. So this is something that's a major focus for us here on the Wrestling Daze channel. Right, I feel like I've spoken enough about things that aren't theories, so let's get to it and let's talk about some theories and things that are out there. So, first of all, the big clue that was at the end of the first clue was the time, the 9:23. people tuned in at 9:23 on SmackDown, expecting the next clue, or some people even expected a return, and they never got a return. In fact, what happened as we were watching live is that we went to commercial break. Now, there's a couple of things to say about that. First of all, I was not expecting that. I honestly thought there would be someone in the crowd with a QR code at 9:23, and there wasn't. Again, the end of the first clue was 9:23. It said 9:23. It said it as a date, and then it changed to a time. So 9:23 is a major focus, or was a major focus. And we were watching, and during SmackDown, we go to commercial break. Now, a couple of things to say. First of all, I've been told that whilst we were at commercial break, that is when they played White Rabbit for the live crowd, right? So apparently there was something happening at 9:23, even though we were at commercial break. I believe the live crowds were getting the song being played, which is a bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie. What I like, though, is someone got in touch with me to say that on the West Coast at 9:23, that is when Scarlett throws the fireball. Now, I didn't see it on the West Coast, so I can't confirm that it's at that very moment the fireball is thrown, but I'm told that it's at 9:23 Scarlett throws the fireball. Now, I do think the fireball is very, very interesting. On SmackDown this week, Scarlett throws a fireball in the face of Drew McIntyre. Now, we've not seen Scarlett doing this. This is the first time that she's done it, and it just so happens to be on the same show that the clue involved fire. So there's a lot of people making connections that Scarlett has got some sort of connection to that second clue. Absolutely, that can be a coincidence, because, you know, her throwing a fireball and fire being in the clue. Yeah, sure. I mean, like, that can be a coincidence. The only thing I would say is that how often do you see like fire on a wrestling show? It happens, but it is once in a blue moon, you know, that someone is setting a table on fire. Even rarer that we would get like fireball. I mean, a couple of times a year, if that. I mean, the last time I saw a fireball was probably Jericho on AEW, going back months and months. And then, honestly, before that, it might have been Scarlett down in NXT. So my point is that fire and fireballs are not something we see on like a weekly basis, even a monthly basis. So it is quite the coincidence that she throws a fireball and fire features in this week's clue. That has really driven speculation that all of this is leading to a new Wyatt family. And we are going to talk about that, because that seems to be the theory that most people are excited about. That's the theory that most people have really gravitated towards. To be honest, I think it's probably the theory people want to be true. They want that to be the case. They want this new Wyatt family. So if you haven't heard this theory, people are saying that Braun Strowman, who just came back and was in the Wyatt family, Dexter Lumis, who just came back, he obviously has got no connections to Bray. There's still no connections to Bray. So people are trying to find a way of connecting Dexter Lumis. So on Monday, the clue on Monday, could Dexter be linked in some way, right? Because one of the theories out there is that clue 1 connects to Karrion Kross. It says TikTok, right? TikTok, I believe, is audible at a point in that first clue. The hourglass is in the bottom corner, and it's a game of hangman. And believe it or not, Karrion Kross recently referred to himself as the People's Executioner. So, and that was in a promo that Karrion Kross did recently on SmackDown, where he called himself the People's Executioner. How strange that Karrion Kross would call himself the People's Executioner, so close to that first clue, which was a game of hangman. So people are looking at this, saying that that first clue could have real connections to Karrion Kross. The second clue may have connections to Scarlett because of her throwing the fireball and fire featuring within the game. And then people are now looking at that third clue, thinking, will it connect to Braun? Will it connect to Dexter Lumis? Because people are thinking that Karrion, Scarlett, Dexter, Braun, and Bray are going to make up the new Wyatt family. Now, my feeling on this is that it's a great theory, but right now there's not loads connecting to that. Yes, Braun used to be in the old Wyatt family, and yes, you can make links to potentially Scarlett and potentially Karrion Kross. There's still no links to Dexter Lumis, so still can't say that I'm quite seeing that one, but this is something for you to keep an eye out for. And this isn't one of the major theories we were even going to discuss. We've still got a couple more major theories to touch on, but this is definitely one for you to keep an eye out for. Does that clue that we're going to get on Raw, does that in any way connect to Dexter, or does it connect to Braun Strowman? If it does, there's a real pattern. This third clue is really important. I would actually argue it's the most important clue so far, because this third clue is going to give us the pattern. At the moment, there's a few different thoughts as to what we've had so far, but I think this third clue could really confirm a theory. Once we get this third one on Raw, it could really confirm what we've had so far, because I think if this third one does have a good, strong connection to Braun or a good, strong connection to Dexter, then I think we could look at it and go, okay, at 9:23 on the West Coast, that's when Scarlett throws fire in the second clue. The first clue, that links to Karrion. He called himself the People's Executioner. He called himself White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. That was his wrestling name. He was called White Rabbit. I mean, that's a hell of a link. And he was the People's Executioner. You've got the hourglass in the corner as well. As I said, I believe it's audible at some point, or there's something connecting it to TikTok. That one's a little bit looser, but I've had a few people get in touch with me saying that TikTok does feature with that first clue. And of course, the whole thing feels Bray Wyatt. So I can definitely see that we are potentially moving in that direction, but I can't sit here and say for certain that's exactly where we are, because I think that third clue is going to be so important. But that is definitely probably the theory I'm seeing most people getting excited about. So yes, that's just something to be aware of. So the new Wyatt family theory is one that I think is very interesting, very exciting, and something we can jump into the chat and explore in a bit. We've spoken about the fireball at 9:23. I don't know if you saw, but White Rabbit sheets were left on people's cars, and coordinates. We haven't really spoken about the coordinates. At the end of this week's clue, the one that was on SmackDown this week, there was actually coordinates. Those coordinates pointed towards Monday Night Raw. So that, to me, just says Monday Night Raw is where we're going to get the next clue. But we also got the word patricide. Now, patricide is the killing of one's father, right? So, I mean, quite dark stuff. Patricide, the killing of one's father. And a lot of people have pointed towards that very first Bray promo from FCW, where Bray actually talks about killing his own father. So this patricide has very strong connections to Bray Wyatt. But there is a school of thought that it could connect to Dominic Mysterio as well. And we will touch on that in a little bit. But I just wanted to bring this up because the piece of paper that had the coordinates on, that was printed off and left on people's cars. So if you actually went to SmackDown and you was in the crowd, you will have seen the song being played and the lights going out. And, you know, I mean, it is such a spectacle. If you've seen that on social media, it's very powerful because there's people that, get their phones out, turn their lights on, their torches, putting them in the air. The lights go all out. The music is very impactful. It's just, if you've never heard the song, you should check it out. It's or if you can, go to social media and look at some of the video clips. It's very, very cool, very spooky as well. Just a very strong, powerful female vocal, soaring vocals. And it's one of those kind of moments that you would talk about when you left. Like, you'd talk about, wow, the matches you'd seen and the moments you'd seen, but you would be leaving talking about what was the song about? Like, it would have that impact on you. And then you go back to your car, and on your windscreen, they've got the coordinates that they've printed off and a white rabbit, the logo, which you can actually buy from WWE shop. They sell T-shirts of them now. That was like on people's windscreens. Now the coordinates, I believe, point people towards the venue where Raw is going to be. So I don't think there's anything really more than them basically saying, tune into Raw. Raw is where you need to be. Raw is what you need to be watching. I don't think there's anything more to it than that, to be honest. But yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff. And as people have been pointed out, this whole thing is playing off of the show. Like, the whole thing is playing away from Raw. So the whole thing is, and SmackDown, like, so far, the only thing that's been on those shows has been the QR codes. So clever. So much thought has gone in. I mean, just being able to even make that game for you to, like, put the rabbit round the maze, avoid the fire, and complete the game. Like, just the work that's gone into that is just, like, next level. We've never seen anything on this level. So, yeah, very, very cool. The only thing I would say is just bear in mind, I know a lot of people credit Bray and are already saying Bray's coming back and this is Bray, Bray's a genius, all this kind of stuff. I'm not disputing that. The only thing I would say is that, don't forget, Triple H has not been in charge for very long. This has definitely got Triple H fingerprints on it as well. So I suppose in a way it's just like, don't get so blinded that this is Bray's genius, right? I'm not saying that he's not playing a part in this. If he is returning, he absolutely is. If he's coming back, then he's absolutely played a part in this. But I think Triple H is a driving force behind this as well. And the reason why we've not seen anything like this before is, of course, Vince McMahon was in charge. This is not the kind of thing I think Vince McMahon really understood. I don't think Vince McMahon really understood the power of social media, or maybe he did, but he didn't really understand how to use that power, and he didn't understand how campaigns like this can work. And I think Triple H understands it a lot more. So we're seeing things we've not really seen before on this scale, and part of that could be because when have we ever had anyone other than Vince? Vince has always been in charge. So, it's just worth bearing that in mind as well. Because I've just seen people saying it's got to be Bray because we've never had anything like this before. But the counter argument would be, we've never had anyone in charge of WWE that's not called Vince McMahon before. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. Let's touch on another couple of theories. I do want to get through these, and then we can get to the two big theories, and then we'll get to your thoughts. So another one is that the three flames, the three fires that are in the maze game in the second clue. So if you play that rabbit maze game, there's three fires. People are saying, and I think it was Vampy that sent this through to me, that they could correspond to the three fires that Bray has suffered. So Bray Wyatt has had a compound fire. Of course, that's where Sister Abigail was burnt. So his compound was set on fire. The Fiend was set on fire. And then the one that some of you might not remember because it happened on like a Raw, it was the Funhouse was actually set on fire. It was set on fire by Seth Rollins. There's been three fires that Bray has suffered: the Compound, Fiend, and the Funhouse. And just by chance, there's 3 flames, 3 fires in that maze game. So again, people are saying, is that a link towards Bray? And it could be, and it's a fun theory, and it was one that I just wanted to chuck out there, just so that people could kind of wrap their heads around that. Ryan Martins, shout out to you. Appreciate the support. Says, did you see the circle in ring when the red light came on at the Vancouver house show? I have sent a picture if you would like. I haven't, to be honest. I haven't been looking so much at the house show ones. It's something that I need to do a little bit more. If they did put a circle in the ring, that is very, very interesting. And that would be something that could indicate Bray Wyatt. Again, just to bring people up to speed, Bray's kind of symbol that his fireflies really have gathered around is the red circle emoji. And the red circle, it's kind of regarded as a full circle. And Bray is kind of very much talking about how things, come back around. And so the circle now has been very much adopted by Bray Wyatt fans. And that's why whenever there's a red circle that's in these clues, and a red circle is featured quite prominently in the first clue. I can't recall a red circle in the second clue, but there was 2, I believe, in the first clue. In fact, I think it did feature in the second one because you had to press play to play the game. And I think around the play button, there was a red circle. So I think it did feature in the second as well. That is very, very Bray Wyatt. So, an excellent point. So a big thank you for sharing that. Send it through over on Twitter. And once we're done with the stream, I will definitely have a look at that. So Ryan Martins, shout out to you. Really appreciate the information. And as I said, the house show is probably something worth keeping an eye on. And the songs are probably worth keeping an eye on to see if there is anything extra that ever gets added. Because, it could be that there are some clues within those moments. The only problem with those moments is they play out like house shows and things like that. So obviously you're having to rely on fan footage. And so, it's always hard to know if that you're going to be picking up on clues that they're giving us. But certainly if someone spotted a red circle in the center of the ring, then I think that could be very significant. Right, let's carry on with some of these other ones. The other one that I've got is that, this was from Creeps. Creeps was saying, before Aleister Black left, he had a patch over one eye, and that could correspond to the fact that the rabbit only seems to have one eye. Now, this is a theory that I think's all right. I'm not down on this theory at all. I think it's all right. I think Aleister Black's a very interesting name because he is someone that's just requested his release, and I think been granted his release from AEW. And he is, I don't know if he is WWE bound, but the rumors are he wanted to leave AEW to come back to WWE. I don't think he's really enjoying how he's being used in AEW, and he wants to come back to WWE. There's a lot of talk around his mental health, and there's a lot of talk around the fact that he wants to take time away from wrestling. So there's some real confusion as to kind of what's happening with Aleister Black. My understanding is that he has been granted his release, but that release is conditional. We don't know the conditions, but I think Dave Meltzer reported there is a non-compete clause in there. So that means he can't go to a rival wrestling company for a period of time. I don't know if that period is 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. I have no idea because that hasn't been disclosed. But seemingly there is a non-compete in there. And reports are, or rumors are, that he did want to come back to WWE. I think he really enjoyed his time working with Triple H when Triple H was in charge of NXT. And now that Triple H is in charge of the main roster, you know that wrestlers talk. I would imagine that there's been a lot of talk around what's changed backstage and what the atmosphere is like now that Vince isn't in charge. And I can only imagine those conversations are very, very positive. So if you're in AEW or Impact or any rival promotion and you have always kind of thought, well, I don't think the main roster of WWE is really for me because of Vince's booking and Vince, all of a sudden now it looks a lot more appealing now that Vince is not around. And seemingly that looks to be what's happened with Alistair, or Malachi Black, as he's called in AEW. So if they have managed to get a hold of him and they are now looking to bring him in, he would be a very interesting name just to keep an eye on. I can't say there's really any links to Malachi Black. Obviously, his wife works for WWE, and obviously he used to work for WWE. He was someone that I think Triple H had a lot of time for. I think that he would be a return that people would welcome, but I think also it would be a return. I don't know that it would be disappointing. I think there's definitely people out there now where if it's not Bray, they're going to be disappointed. But for me, if it turned out to be Alistair Black, I'd be fine with that. I think Alistair has never been given his dues. He is a fantastic competitor. He was great down in NXT. His main roster run was, appalling. It was just nowhere near as good when he was on the main roster of WWE. I think how they've used him in AEW has been very poor as well. They've given him like a faction, but that faction is just quite weak, to be honest. It's not the strongest of factions. They're good. You've got Buddy Matthews, formerly Buddy Murphy. You've got Brody King. It's a good faction, but they're just not really given any momentum. And I think he's really struggled. So this idea that before he left, he only had he had a patch over one eye, the rabbit only having one eye. That was just something that I thought it was worth bringing to your attention. Ryan said, I tweeted you that photo. If you type in White Rabbit Vancouver on YouTube, you can see it clear as days. Nice. I like what you've done there. Very clever. Ryan, I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you very much. I will have a look at that. But for those of you out there that haven't seen that either, then if you go and do what Ryan just said, go and type in White Rabbit Vancouver on YouTube, then you will be able to find the footage of that. I do agree that the links to Bray are seemingly... just take a second. It says that reconnected. There we go. Just a momentary lag. The WWE are trying to tear us down because we're getting too close to the truth. That's what's happening right now. WWE are trying to quiet down the stream because we are getting too close to revealing who White Rabbit is. But so a big thank you to Ryan. Again, if you actually go to YouTube, put in White Rabbit Vancouver, you'll be able to see that clip of the circle in the ring. And as I said, I do think that Bray has got some very strong links. I think there's a lot of stuff that's just coincidental. I certainly don't think every theory and every link is legit. I think some of it is coincidental. And I think as well that you can never rule out either WWE trying to add Bray stuff to get people talking, and it's not Bray. Them putting in the odd red circle is nothing, is it? WWE have not told you at any point this is Bray Wyatt, but they've put in the few red circles. There's a few things in there that you can definitely make links with, but at no point has anyone said this is Bray Wyatt. So you do have to just bear that in mind. The other thing as well is this could actually be a heel. This could be someone like Baron Corbin, for example, who could be putting Bray references in and other little references in. And then when the reveal comes and it's a heel and it's Baron Corbin or someone like this, he can come out laughing saying, did you expect someone else? Oh, I'm sorry, was you expecting someone else? Because don't forget, Baron Corbin recently got into a limousine, got into JBL's limousine, and he is clearly in the process of getting a new gimmick now. That new gimmick, I would not expect it to be White Rabbit, but this would be a heelish way to bring back Baron Corbin. because he could make you think that you're getting something very exciting. He could make you think that you're getting Bray Wyatt, and then it turns out to be Baron Corbin, and he comes back laughing. That would be a disaster because, like, the fans would really be upset about this, of course, because they would have been played. But just bear that in mind. Just bear that in mind. We've seen those moments in the past where, you know, they play entrance music. So, like, I believe they did it for WrestleMania this year, where they played Stone Cold's entrance music, but it was Kevin Owens that came walking out. We've seen them do that a few times where they'll play someone's entrance theme. People get really excited, but the person doesn't come out, and it's actually the superstar trolling you. This would be trolling on a whole different level. And I'm certainly not saying that's what's happening, but I'm just saying err on the side of caution. I know I keep saying that, but there are a lot of people that are saying this is Bray and they will not be moved on that point. And that's fine, because it could be. It really could be. It could be. But just be aware. Just be aware. So, yes, Ryan, shout out to you. I did see we got another comment coming through as well. This comment from Chad Younger. Chad said, could you imagine the House of Wyatt, Bray, Malachi, Buddy, Braun, Kross? Just a thought. Just a thought. So, looks like Chad would go a little bit different. He would not have Dexter. He would add Buddy and Malachi. So Bray, Malachi, Buddy, Braun, and Kross. So very interesting. I do want to jump into the chat. We have taken a little bit longer than what I was hoping to go through these theories, but I wanted to make sure you was getting like the latest news and the latest theories that I was seeing. And there's two that I think are very interesting, and so we'll touch on those right now. The first one is to do with Edge, and I actually tweeted this out, and it's got a lot of interest, actually, this tweet. There's a lot of people that have looked at this tweet and have said, I can see where you're coming from. I hope it's not, but I can see where you're coming from. And this is a theory that's been doing the rounds as well. So the theory is, what if the White Rabbit stuff is Edge? Because last time we had something like this, it was Edge. Last time we had something like this is when we had those vignettes that aired, and it was someone in the shadows. We were seeing images of different superstars. It was very cryptic, and it turned out to be Edge returning. And so a lot of people looked at that before and said that Bray was coming. Some people said, no, it is Edge. All of this connects with Edge, but it could be Edge and Bray. And so people were very excited about that. You know, Edge has been beaten up by Judgment Day, and he's gone and got some help. He's gone and got some support, and now he's going to come back with Bray. Sadly, he didn't. He just came back on his own at SummerSlam, and that disappointed a lot of people. But yeah, so the conversation has to be, what if it is just Edge again? Because recently he got beaten up by Judgment Day, and so he is going to return. He is going to come back, and who knows in what kind of gimmick he's going to come back with. Who knows if he's going to come back alone? He might not come back alone. He might come back with some reinforcements, and this could be pointing us towards Edge coming back with maybe a slightly new gimmick. I wouldn't think so at this stage in his career, but it could be that someone's coming back with him, like a Malachi Black, an Aleister Black or something. The reason why we're talking about Edge is there is a theory, and I think it's an interesting theory, and it's a theory you need to be aware of because, again, the third clue is going to be very important here. The theory is that these clues, they point towards people that Edge is coming after, okay? So the theory is that the first clue, the Hangman game, it points towards Finn Balor. Now, the reason why people say Finn Balor is because the question for the Hangman game was who killed the world, and the rabbit guessed demon. So the letters that the rabbit guessed in order spelt demon. Now, you could argue that Finn Balor came in and killed Edge's world. He'd just set up this new world. He'd just set up this new faction. He'd just set up Judgment Day. He had Rhea Ripley. He had Damian Priest. And then Finn Balor was brought in. And Finn Balor destroyed it all. And now Finn Balor is kind of the one that's in charge. They don't really have a leader, but Finn Balor is kind of seen, I believe, as the leader of Judgment Day. And they kicked Edge out. So the fact that Demon was spelled out is very interesting because, of course, Finn Balor is the Demon King. He is the Demon King. So Demon has strong Finn Balor connections. Just to link it even more to Finn Balor, the purple crosses that cross off the letters at the bottom of the Hangman game, those purple crosses are Finn Balor's logo. You can buy shirts of Finn Balor that have purple crosses on them. And actually, on his ring gear, he has those same purple crosses. So the fact that the crosses that were crossing off the letters at the bottom were purple very much connects it to Finn Balor. So there's people that are looking at it going, okay, Demon, purple crosses, maybe the question. There's a few links there that connect it to Finn Balor. The second clue could connect to Dominic Mysterio because, of course, the biggest clue in there was about killing your own father. Now, Dominic hasn't actually killed his father, but I think the relationship between Dominic and Ray is very interesting because obviously Dominic has just turned on his father. He's betrayed his father. He attacked his father. And in many ways, Ray is sort of dead to Dominic. Dominic doesn't want anything to do with Rey Mysterio. He's not even looking at him. He's not talking to him. Right now, Rey Mysterio is practically dead to Dominic Mysterio. So there's been a few people saying that's a little bit loose because Dominic didn't actually kill his father. The point is, though, that I think you can take a little bit of artistic license there because I don't know that there is a word that would fit for kind of where the Dominic-Ray relationship is. There's been a few people saying had the word been betrayal, it would have fit a lot better. But the problem is betrayal is too loose. Like, there's so many wrestlers that betray other wrestlers. It's not specific enough to Ray and Dominic. This whole patricide, which is about killing your own father, you know, anything to do with a father-son relationship is going to make people think of Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio because they've been the first father and son WWE Tag Team Champions. They've been together for a couple of years, and now they've just turned, or Dominic has just turned on Rey. And so anything to do with the father and son is going to make people think of Dominic and Rey Mysterio. So I definitely think there's enough there to that if it did turn out to be that I personally wouldn't have an issue with that as a clue. I think that that's fine. I don't know. There's a better word that kind of really points towards a breakdown. I suppose that's what it comes to. It's the closest word that comes to a breakdown in the father-son relationship. It's just that patricide goes a bit further, and that's the actual killing of your father, which, as we said, Dominic didn't do. But in many ways, Ray is dead to Dominic. Dominic does not want to know him. So you can definitely make an argument that the first clue is Finn. You can definitely make an argument that the second clue is Dominic. This is where the third clue becomes really interesting because the third clue, if that connects to Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley, we might have an idea as to what is happening then. Then all of a sudden, we might have three clues that connect to three Judgment Day members, and that would be a hell of a pattern. That would be a great pattern, and that would be noteworthy. So this is something that you just need to keep an eye on. As we said earlier, if that third clue connects to Dexter or it connects to Braun, then we might be looking at these clues showing us the new Wyatt family, if that next clue points to either Rhea or Damian Priest, then these clues might be showing us victims of who Edge is coming for, right? And then all of a sudden, the conversation might start shifting towards this being about Edge rather than being about Bray Wyatt. So just something to keep in mind. As I said, it's very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. There is one more that I think you're really going to like. And this is another theory. We're going to get to that in a second. Mr. Burt Wayne said, oh my God, it is Gorilla Press. In Bray's last character, the demon was Vince McMahon, and Vince fired Bray. He killed the world. Was he the demon? Was he the demon or was he the devil? I know it's not. I know it's not the biggest difference in the world, but I've got a feeling that he was Devil Vince, not Demon Vince. I think he was Devil Vince, and that makes me think that if it did connect to Vince McMahon, a couple of things I would say. Wow, I mean, look, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I'm thinking that devil would have been the better words to have connected with Vince. The other thing as well is right now they are seemingly trying to distance themselves from Vince, and I don't know that they would do a clue that connects to Vince because he just got forced to retire. I mean, don't make any mistake about it. He did not want to retire. He was forced to retire. So I think they would probably want to stay away from Vince being a part of the clues. So I like the theory though, and I'm certainly not ruling it out, but my initial reaction would be I think I'd be surprised for a couple of reasons if it did turn out to be Vince, because I think the word would be devil, and I just don't think they would reference Vince for that reason. But it's an interesting theory. And so could that be another connection to Bray Wyatt? Mr. Burt Wayne, shout out to you. Appreciate it. You've given people something to think about there. You've given people something to get their heads around. Jake Campbell said there's a rumor that Edge returns tomorrow at Raw. That'd be interesting. I mean, look, if Edge comes back and the White Rabbit stuff continues, you can obviously then discard Edge. The only thing I would say is that could it be someone coming to support Edge? I think if he comes back and it continues, though, that would be very interesting, because then I think you can start ruling Edge out personally. I think if Edge is already back, then I think you could probably rule him out. I must admit, like the Karrion Kross stuff, I think you can start ruling out as well. I do agree with people. Why would you bring a new persona for Karrion Kross now? He hasn't really got going yet, has he? He hasn't really started. And we've got like the current persona. We don't need like White Rabbit. We don't need the character he had in Lucha Underground. So I think there's definitely connections to Karrion that can be made. But is this going to end up being Karrion? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. It's hard to make an argument as to why they would do this. You might be able to make an argument for it being Scarlett. You maybe could make an argument there because Scarlett doesn't really have too much of a character. She just kind of comes out, and you could make an argument that her character needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. Like, we know more about Karrion because he does the promos, and he talks more than Scarlett. I don't even know if Scarlett's really spoken too much yet. I think she's come in with the odd TikTok, but I don't think she said anything more than that. So could this be like a fleshing out of the Scarlett character? Maybe. I have to think these are outside kind of chances at the moment. For me, Bray is definitely up there with the front runners. But I think, yeah, sometimes it's not so much about who it is at this stage. It's more about being able to rule people out and say it's not this person, it's not that person. And so I'm feeling like Karrion and maybe Scarlett are very much at the lower end of the suspect list. And I think that you might even be able to disregard Edge if he did return tomorrow and we still got White Rabbit stuff. So, yeah, really, really interesting. Jim Howson said Karrion Kross was called Hangman in the Indies. Is that true? If that's true, that's news to me, you know. Karrion Kross was called Hangman in the Indies. Let me just go onto his Wikipedia page, because normally they do list previous wrestling names on the Wikipedia page. And I'm just wondering if it would list it there. It doesn't say that. It's got Karrion Kross, Kevin Kross, and Killer Kross. So it doesn't say anything about Hangman on the Indies. As you said, I mean, maybe it could be a nickname that he had or something along those lines. But yeah, interesting. That's something that will need a little bit of a further look into. But excellent. Loving it. So, Jim, appreciate it. Jake Campbell said, Canada equals Raw equals Edge. So it makes sense that is where Raw is. That's true. That might be kind of where the rumor has come from. Yes, it does make sense to bring Edge back there, more so than anywhere else. And as we said, if he does come back and then we still get White Rabbit teases, that's going to be a big deal. So, because I think then you can start to really think about ruling Edge out. Obviously, if we don't see Edge come back, I mean, if you don't see Edge come back on Raw in Canada, that is also going to be very interesting because, yes, that would seem like a really obvious place for Edge to return. So, yeah, all eyes on Raw, unsurprisingly. Right, let's get to this final one. So I want to be jumping into the chat. I want to be chatting with you guys. And so we said we would do an hour. We're obviously going to extend that. Looks like we'll do an extra half an hour on top, just going into the chat and talking with you guys. But I want to get to this final thought. And this final one is to do with Bray's victims. This is one I think you're going to like, and that's why we've left it to the end. That's why we've left it to the very last. So there is an argument that the first clue connects to Finn Balor. We've already spoken about the connections. So keep that, right? The first one connects to Finn Balor. The second clue might connect to Seth Rollins. Fire is obviously quite prominent in that second clue. And Seth Rollins obviously has got a catchphrase of burn it down. Not only that, Seth Rollins actually burnt down the Firefly Funhouse. Again, it's one that people sort of forget a little bit more than other things because it was like the temporary, it was the traveling set. It wasn't the proper Funhouse. It was like that smaller Funhouse that kind of traveled around and they did promos in. That one was burnt down by Seth Rollins. So the fact that fire was in that second clue could be an indicator of Seth burn it down, and also the fact he burnt the Firefly Funhouse. Obviously, the patricide word at the end would connect with Bray. So, you know, it's just another way of reinforcing a Bray Wyatt connection as well. But what's really interesting about this theory is that is actually the first two. Let's go down. That is his first victim is Finn Balor. The second person that he goes after, the second person is actually Seth Rollins. So if the first clue is Finn Balor and the second clue is Seth Rollins, the third clue should be, and it's not going to be, but it should be Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the third person that The Fiend and Bray Wyatt had a match with. Now, I don't think that will connect to Daniel Bryan, but it could, because they're only hinting. They're not actually saying anything. They're only hinting at someone. So it'll be very interesting if there are any connections to Daniel Bryan. If for some reason they decide they want to skip that one because of him being in AEW, the next one would be The Miz. So those were the first 4 opponents of The Fiend. Not counting house shows, because no one apart from people actually there got to see those, or dark matches. I'm talking about actual ones that were on TV, matches that were on TV. The first 4 opponents of The Fiend and the first 4 opponents of Bray were Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, and The Miz. So this third clue, I think there are connections to Finn in the first. I think there are connections to Seth in the second. So what we're looking for in the third is Daniel Bryan or potentially The Miz. It's hard to know if they would go with Daniel Bryan because of him being an AEW superstar, or if they would skip that and then just go to The Miz. And you could do The Miz quite comfortably, quite easily. So, yeah, something else to keep an eye on. So I think you can see how exciting this third clue is. I suppose in a way that's the big takeaway from this live stream. I didn't want to just sit here and just tell you a load of theories that are doing the rounds, because to be honest, most of them we've already covered. And if you want to hear some of the other theories that are out there, we did a 50-minute theory video where we actually ranked the theories. So I didn't want to just sit here and regurgitate and repeat all of that stuff. I wanted to bring some new stuff to you. I wanted this to feel like it was worth watching. And hopefully some of these theories you've not heard about. But I think really the big takeaway from this live stream, and I promise you we're jumping in the chat now. I think the big takeaway is that third clue that's going to be on Raw is going to be really, really pivotal, because I think it could really start pointing us in a direction. As we said, if it links to Braun, if it links to Dexter, then it really could be pointing towards a new Wyatt family. If it links to Miz, if it links to Daniel Bryan, then it could be pointing to the first victims of Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. If it points to either Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest, then it could be something to do with Judgment Day. It could be something to do with Edge. And so it could be pointing us in that direction. We're not going to know that pattern until we get really that third clue. So that's why I think this next one is going to be really, really exciting. And of course, we could get it, and it might not point to any of those people. It might not point to any of those people, and then we're going down a completely different path. It could be that it just points more connections to Bray, or it could point more connections to someone else. There is a very interesting list doing the rounds of about 10 names that people think that this could be. We've already spoke about Baron Corbin, but Nikki ASH is another name worth mentioning, because Nikki ASH actually had a big kind of falling out with Doudrop in the background of Raw. Again, don't know if you noticed it. We did talk about it in our review videos, but there's been a lot of promos recently, and in the background, you can see Nikki and Doudrop arguing. And just before the White Rabbit teases started, Nikki took off her Nikki ASH mask and threw it at Doudrop and stormed off. And then I think it was like literally the next week, the White Rabbit stuff started. So that would be a massive, massive investment in Nikki ASH. And at the moment, I can't say there's any connections to her other than timing. So, it's not the strongest connection to Nikki ASH, but there are quite a few people in need of refreshes of their gimmicks, like Elias. Word came out that the Ezekiel character is done. We're done with Ezekiel. We're not getting Ezekiel anymore. So now we need to find something new for Elias. So Elias is in need of a new character. We've also got, Rick Boogs has got to be coming back at some point, and he potentially could be coming back with a new character. Corbin got into JBL's limo. Corbin's coming back, and as we said, he could come back and troll everyone. That's a very Corbin thing to do. There's been talk about, obviously, Charlotte. Charlotte, I don't think needs a new gimmick, but she's obviously a major return that's going to be coming back at some point. So, yeah, we've got Charlotte as well. Some people are even saying it could be Cody. Cody's return is going to be a massive, massive deal. Make no mistake about it. When Cody comes back, that's a big, big deal. They are very much looking to him being a future world champion. So it wouldn't surprise me them doing this level of work for Cody. Nothing about this feels like it's Cody. Nothing about this feels like it's Charlotte. So I can't say that they're the strongest links, but these are sort of the names that are doing the rounds. These are just names you need to just be aware of things that are kind of circulating. One of the final things is that this might not connect to a superstar, and that is actually something that's not being discussed that much. But there is a theory that this could be leading to some sort of announcement. This could lead to a new show. It could lead to a new pay-per-view event. It could lead to a big announcement of something that Triple H wants to bring in. And this White Rabbit is leading us towards this big announcement, leading us to this big change, leading us to whatever, like a new championships or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to lead us to a new superstar or a returning superstar. I would say a returning superstar like Bray would have to be the most likely, but it is just worth mentioning that is not guaranteed. It doesn't have to lead that way. So just something else on top of everything else we've mentioned to bear in mind. So boom, there we go. Just over an hour of talking White Rabbit stuff. And what better way to end this stream than by continuing to talk about White Rabbit stuff, but talk about it with you guys. So we are going to jump into the chat right now. Vape Ross Vape said, is WWE leaking these clues? I don't watch. It's Bray. Is WWE leaking the clues? They are. I don't think they're leaking these theories. I mean, obviously, I can't prove they're not leaking the theories because it's always hard to know where the theories come from. I do like to try and give credit where I can. But to be honest, this Wyatt family theory has been shared by so many people. I could not pinpoint where, like, the first person to say it was. There's no way of knowing who the first person was, because these theories are being put on Reddit, they're being put on Twitter, they're being put on Facebook, they're being put on Instagram, they're in comments. People are obviously having some of the same thoughts and the same theories that they're creating at the same time. We're all so dialed in on White Rabbit stuff. It's very hard to know kind of where it's originating from, a lot of these theories. Sadly the theories are being shared, but the credit of the originators sadly are not, and that is a shame. That is a shame, because I think, when this thing does get solved, we won't know really who was ever behind it or who kind of came up with these theories. And yeah, that's a bit of a shame, because I think that's a big driving factor. I think everyone wants to be the one that solves it. Everyone wants to be the one that finally gets the answer. And I think that is very much driving this whole campaign. That is very much driving this intrigue, because it's allowing you to become a detective. It's allowing you to sit at home, watch the show, try and put the pieces together yourselves. And it's compelling. It really is compelling. So I can't prove that WWE aren't leaking out some of these theories, but I don't think they need to. I think the fan base is so dialed in and so engaged that I don't think WWE need to be doing that. I think the fans are capable of doing it themselves. Miguel said, Elias and Ezekiel are the same person. Kevin Owens was right all along. Jaden said, everyone is talking about how Wyatt dressed up as the Mad Hatter, but no one mentions that Alexa was Alice in Wonderland for the Women's Evolution pay-per-view. That's interesting. Bray Wyatt did dress as Mad Hatter. Not many people are talking about the fact that in the same episode, Alexa was dressed as Alice in Wonderland. And so that was a whole Alice in Wonderland tea party themed episode. I just think that people want it to be Bray, so Bray gets mentioned a lot more. But also Bray's costume was a lot more striking, and so again, Bray gets mentioned there. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of links to Alexa Bliss in this, and again, someone else that needs a new gimmick. We were talking earlier about Corbin. We were talking earlier about Nikki ASH. We were talking earlier about a few different names, but one of the absolute front runners has to be Alexa Bliss. Has to be Alexa Bliss. She actually did an interview not long ago saying that she wants a new gimmick. She's got ideas for a new gimmick, and she wants it to be darker than it was before. And that she's been very inspired by Bray Wyatt. And I would not be surprised if this did connect to Alexa. One thing we know about Alexa is she loves Disney. I think it's in her bio. And this whole thing is Alice in Wonderland themed. Now, I know that's not technically Disney, but Disney did make the animated film, which I think that's how most people got introduced to the story. And of course, more recently, they did the live action film. So the new generation probably got introduced to it through the live action film as well. So it is synonymous with Disney. So yeah, quite a strong connection there, I would argue. So Jaden, shout out to you. Jaden said there have been clues. We've had 2 weeks. We've got 2 weeks until Extreme Rules. There's 4 more clues. Guessing the rabbit is at Extreme Rules. So 6 clues. Yeah, there's people saying Wyatt 6 clues, and making connections to that as well. There was an interesting thought, which I really liked, and I put in the Discord. I wonder if I can just click on it again. Credit where credit is due. Let me see if I can get to it. So BJP2 said a lot of people have been trying to come up for theories for a long time now regarding the 6 in Wyndham 6 or Wyatt 6. I have always believed this represents his actual family, him, his wife, and his 4 children. They are the Wyatt 6. So I thought that was worth mentioning because I could definitely see that. I could definitely see Wyatt 6, Wyndham 6. I could definitely see that being a connection to, his family. I've always wondered if it was his personas and his different personas, because I believe, again, if you go to Wikipedia and you Google Bray Wyatt, it actually comes back with 6 characters that he's played. He's obviously been The Fiend. He's been Bray Wyatt. But there's other characters he's played as well throughout his wrestling career. And really, Wyndham, he is all of those characters. They all live within him. And so, in a way, could they be the Wyatt 6? Could they be the Wyndham 6? And what we get next is persona number 7, maybe. Or maybe we don't get a new persona. When he comes back, he's going to be The Fiend and he's going to be Bray. And that's it. He's going to, stay with the personas that we already know. But that was my thoughts. So, interesting. Sacanelli said, Daze, the game with the bunny around the red door is a crosswords. There are 3 words, 3-letter words, 2-letter words. Let me in. Around the door, there's 2... Hang on, where's this? Around the red door is a crosswords. I haven't seen the crossword around the red door. That's news to me. There is a crossword around the red door. I'm just having a look to see if I've got a picture of the red door. The red door that the bunny goes through has got 3 words written around it. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Let's have a look. White Rabbit. I'm going to actually see if I can bring the image up on screen right now. Goals. I've got his bunny rabbits now on screen. White Rabbit. I have the door. I've got the door that the rabbit goes through. I can't see anything written above that. Are you saying above the door that the rabbit actually goes through for the game? Let me add. I'll show you what I'm seeing so that we're all on the same page. Let's click on this. So there's the picture I'm looking at. I can't see any words or anything there around that one. So I can't see anything there. And I might have an image. I should have an image of the game. There it is. Let's click on that. So I've got an image of the game as well, and you're saying there's words around the game. To be honest, I can't see that either. Let's click on this. Click on that. Bring it over. There's words there. There's words on that door. I don't know that this image is going to be sharp enough to actually see around there. Are you? Oh, hang on. Are you saying that these blocks? You think these blocks are letters? Is that what you're thinking? You're thinking that the three blocks above could be let, and then the two at the side could be me, and the other one's in. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, like, I don't know, because this is just a maze, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing here to suggest that this is a crossword. If I'm reading that right, if you're thinking that these blocks, these white blocks, could be like "let me in," I mean, I can't rule it out. But I don't know. I don't know, because I don't. There's nothing here to suggest that this is a crossword. If there was a word that we'd been given, like if there was part of this that was completed to show that it was a crossword. I mean, if it is a crossword, that segment there is going to be very difficult. So yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Torn on that one. Max, that sounds a bit desperate for it to be Bray. But she said on Instagram she's going to come back as an evil gimmick, said Film Nation. Troy said the third clue was leaked. It's a tic-tac-toe game. Red Heart, Purple Club, secret word, Riptide. It's been leaked on Reddit, reported by What Culture. I've not seen that. No one sent me that, and I've not seen that. So if that is news that's coming through, then interesting. Let's have a look and see. Third clue, White Rabbit. No, I can't see anything that's come through on a third clue today. In fact, White Rabbit stuff, if there was any news like that, it would be absolutely everywhere by now. And there's nothing on social. There's nothing on Google for that at the moment. So I'm not saying that that's not true and that that's what it could be, but unless you've got like proof of it and you've seen some of it, then I would take it with a pinch of salt. The other thing as well is that you do run the risk now of people creating fake things. You do run that risk. So, people know there's so many eyes on the White Rabbit stuff that you do run the risk, unfortunately, of people pranking and doing stuff like that. So, again, I'm not saying that's what's happened. I'm just saying gotta take it with a pinch of salt. 1987 Big Fan said the leaked QR code for Raw is tic-tac-toe and is a Riptide. It takes the rabbit away. The Riptide is Rhea's finisher. Well, if that is true, so if there is a new one that's leaked, I haven't seen that yet, and it will, and it is Riptide, that's very interesting because that perfectly ties in with the theory that we said earlier. The theory that we said earlier was that if it's going to be Rhea or it's going to be Damian, there is an argument that these clues really do point to Judgment Day. Now, I'm not saying that this still isn't Bray, because what this could be is it could be a very clear indication as to who Bray is coming for, but it could also be an indication as to who Edge is coming for, because as we said, that first clue does have connections to Finn Balor. The second clue, I believe, has got connections to Dominic Mysterio. And the third clue, if we're saying that it has leaked, then that could be connections to Rhea Ripley. Mr. DXZ said, if you watch Bray's first FCW promo, the way he killed his father was by setting the fishing boat on fire. That's interesting because, of course, we've got the fire actually in that game. Noah said, people don't realize the numbers on the White Rabbit flyers are not the coordinates from the SmackDown QR code. The numbers are different. Do some math with the flyer numbers. We pointed this out on Twitter that the numbers were different. I was told that it still led to the same place. So, but you are right that the numbers are different, but the coordinates still seem to point to where Raw is going to be taking place. So that I don't think there's anything in that. Dylan, what does it say? Let me know. What does it say? Dylan said, if you go to WWE's YouTube channel, look at White Rabbit. What comes back? Oh, are you telling me to go to their the WWE network? Because when you do that, it only comes back with one result, and that result is Bray Wyatt, which is very interesting. If that's what we're talking about. Harry said the glitches on one of the videos have the same color as the Extreme Rules poster. So could White Rabbit show itself at Extreme Rules? Absolutely. I think this will pay off at either Extreme Rules or Crown Jewel. I think that it'll be one of those where this will run its course. But yeah, it is very, very interesting at the moment, seeing it play out. I know a lot of people expected the answer on Friday. I personally didn't. I don't think there's anyone expecting the answer on Raw. I wouldn't expect it on Raw. I'm expecting another clue, and there's rumors that that third clue may have leaked. We are just finding that out. May have leaked on Reddit. So we'll have to look into that afterwards. I don't see Logan Paul holding titles, says Ament. Where is Raw taking place is where Bray lost to Seth, says Karina. Sean said, is there a chance WWE is not putting the real clues up until the day of Raw and SmackDown, as opposed to putting out the day prior? Well, this is all news to me. And as I said, before we went live, I did look at the latest kind of White Rabbit stuff. And this must have been breaking as we were live, because it's not something that's kind of reached me yet or kind of got to the mainstream. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see if this clue, if there is some truth to it. We're going to have a look. We're going to have a look and see. Coordinates can be written in multiple different ways. The flyers probably used a different form to show it was WWE doing rather than a fan copying the leak from earlier in the day, said Michael. Norman said Bray's heel glove is on his left hand. White Rabbit's left side has an eye. Bray's hurt glove is on the right side. White Rabbit's right side has got no eye. It's interesting. Jordan says, Zero News has tweeted. Well, I mean, Zero News, it's questionable with Zero News. There's a few people that are big fans, and there's people that question how valid, basically, that is. So proceed with caution is all I would say, but I would say that for absolutely anyone. Ahmed said, do you think Bray Wyatt will bring an old character or a totally new one? Well, first of all, we don't know this is Bray. And all I would say is if he's going to come back, I think he'll be given freedom. And I've got to think that he probably would want to do the Fiend thing the way he wanted to do it and the way he envisaged it. So my guess would be he would come back and he would want to do that right rather than just abandon it. I think he'd want to come back and do it right. So my guess would be he would come back and carry on with where he was, and in a way maybe try and fix a few of the things that didn't go the way he wanted, rather than come back with just something completely brand new. Although, I would imagine it would be very reinvigorating to come back with something completely brand new. So Miguel said, I think Tyson Fury can beat Roman Reigns. I've solved the whole thing. It's the rabbit from the Rosebuds, says Brent. Shout out to you. Jane said, true. They were in the crowd. They've posted an image of the red circle. That was mentioned earlier. So, yeah, if you want to see, apparently there was a red circle in the ring, and that's obviously going to have caught people's attention. Ed said, what do you think about Buddy Murphy leaving AEW? I think he just got frustrated. I think there's a lot of frustration with AEW. I think that when people got brought in, they were told they were going to be used a certain way. They were probably made promises. And I think for various reasons, those promises have maybe not always been held. And I think that, I've got to think Buddy was brought in, and, any kind of WWE star that was released, I think was of interest to AEW. Whether they actually got to the point where they gave them contracts or not, obviously that changed over time. I think if you was a WWE star released early in AEW's run, then you stood a good chance of getting a contract. If you was someone released later in AEW's run, then, they were pretty full by that point. I mean, we saw a lot of people getting released in 2020 and 2021, and the vast majority did not go to AEW. So it certainly became more competitive, and it became harder to get into AEW. But for whatever reason, they wanted Buddy, and they got him. And I've got to think that they offered him some promises and reassurances and said that they would use him a certain way. And I have to say, I think the way that he's been used has been pretty poor. I mean, he's not really been in any kind of programs. He was in the House of Black, as we said earlier. They have not been used well at all. And so, yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if he has gone. I haven't seen it completely confirmed that he's out. I believe that it's happening. I don't know if it's happened. I saw a report saying that he wanted his release. I don't know that I saw that he'd been granted his release. But yeah, he could be gone. I'm expecting him to be gone, and I can understand why. Even Slice has said that Bray signed and he wants full control and he's making new characters, says Karina. Yeah, I did get told about that, though. Slice is apparently not a reliable source. We spoke about the Slice report, that Slice report, actually. And we were waiting for a Fightful report to come out. And Slice came out with this information. Slice is not on my radar. It's not someone I've heard of. And at the time, we said, take this with a pinch of salt because I do not know this news source. And Sean Ross Sapp actually got in touch with me to say that's not a good news source. Like, I wouldn't be using that. So Sean, that came directly from Sean Ross Sapp. Sean is someone that is very respected, and he is someone that's very active on social media as well. And so for him to hit us up and kind of give us that information, I thought was really cool. So yeah, Slice is one that I don't go near. And as I said, the jury is out on a fair few. I think there's a lot of people that want to get into being journalists and want to get into doing like wrestling journalism, and they're trying to establish themselves. But it's maybe questionable as to whether they've actually got sources or not, and if they're just copying things other people are saying and then maybe making some things up as well. Because the truth is, you could make some stuff up, and if it doesn't come off, you can just move on to the next thing, and a good chunk of people will just continue to follow you. So you've got to be really careful with some of the stuff that's out there. Daze, we've all worked out it's actually you that's White Rabbit, says me name's Bryn Weevil. Or wait for Sean Ross Sapp to confirm anything before believing it, says Michael. Mr. DXZ said maybe Cole was referring to how the Fiend was lit on fire, like you would with Cole. I've spoke about that, actually. I think the Cole, personally, because on that second clue, when you complete it, you get either coal or you had the word patricide. Now, I think patricide is the clue. I think coal is what people get at Christmas when they've been naughty. And I think that is you getting an unsuccessful answer, if you will. Like, oh, sorry, this time you got coal. This time you didn't get the real answer. You didn't get the real clue. It's just coal this time. So some people got coal and some people got patricide. Some people got the real clue. So that's how I interpreted it. But absolutely keep looking into the word coal. Keep coming up with theories for the word coal, because there could be something there. But that I don't know what it is about that, but that has settled quite nicely as my theory and my favorite theory as to what's happened in regards to why we got those two different words. I had heard rumors were doing the rounds that there was a third word of extreme, but I have not seen a single screenshot of that. I've not seen a single example of the word extreme being used, but there were people, I think in our watch along, saying that was being generated. Now, I don't know if they genuinely got that and it was only certain people that got that, or again, you do have to just bear in mind that there are people that are having fun with this as well, you know? And there are people that, I've got no doubt whatsoever, there are people that are going to work on games and QR codes, and they're going to generate their own stuff. I mean, listen, if you've got a YouTube channel and you go to Raw, it would be the wisest thing in the world to just don't have a sign that says anything, hold up a QR code, and then everyone will scan it and it will take them to your YouTube channel. Like, that would be the wisest marketing strategy that anyone could do. And I'm sure someone's going to do it. I don't know why someone hasn't done it already on SmackDown. I've got to think someone at some point will do it. So you have to be aware that there's going to be a whole kind of unwanted industry that I think is going to be connected to this. And maybe that industry has already started, where people will start peddling stuff that's not correct. Because this world runs on views and clicks and likes and things along those lines. And so I think, this is where you're going to start seeing fake journalism. This is where you're going to start seeing fake QR codes. This is where you're going to start seeing all of that starting to come to light. Someone will do a Rickroll QR code, said Dark Angel. I had a friend that messaged Bray on Instagram. He was saying that Bray was a good wrestler and a role model. Bray said, appreciate this. I will return to wrestling soon. But there should be a whole crowd with QR codes, said Rage Kids. Edward, shout out to you. Moldy said, if this is Edge, he's going to get major heat from the audience. He's unintentionally getting himself in the firing line with fans that are thinking that it is Bray. Well, the only thing I can say to that is that WWE at no point have said this is Bray. Yes, it's very Bray-esque, but there's nothing here apart from like a red circle, and Bray doesn't own the red circle. It is synonymous with Bray, and when you see it, you are going to think of Bray. And you could maybe even argue they're doing that by design if it turns out to not be Bray, because they want the hardcores talking about it and being engaged in it. You see, the problem that you've got is that if you make it so obvious that it's Edge, no one will talk about it, because everyone will go, okay, so it's Edge. It's Edge, done, and that's it, and the conversation is over, and the whole campaign falls flat. What you probably need to do in order to keep a campaign alive and active and vibrant is actually just put a few links into a few different people. Yes, Bray, but there are links to other people as well. So it's not just Bray. If people have settled on it being Bray and blocked out everything else, we've spoken at length about how you can connect it to Judgment Day. And we've spoken about the links to Seth and the links to Scarlett and the links to Finn Balor and the links to Karrion Kross. And you can definitely make links to people that aren't Bray as well. And I think if you've settled on this being Bray and you're just blocking out all of those other connections, I don't know that you're looking at the full picture. I don't know that you're looking at everything that's being put down. And so that's why I keep preaching keep an open mind, because there is a good chance this does not turn out to be Bray. And I must admit, if that's how it goes, I personally won't be disappointed, because I'm really enjoying the journey and I'm really enjoying this White Rabbit campaign. And I think Bray's going to come back at some point anyway. I think he comes back. I would say that there's a good chance this is Bray. I think there's a very good chance this is Bray. But I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm just quite enjoying getting your thoughts, getting your theories, and really digging into, the mystery of what this is all about. Chad Younger said, White Rabbit is Waylon Mercy. James said, I've got a theory. If you go back to Bray's tweet on the 21st of July, the picture is of a man with no head holding a head. And do you think that connects to the Hangman game? Is that your thought there, is it? Bray replied to a tweet of a picture of himself at a Hertz car hire. He tweeted something like, as if I would use Hertz. Yuck. Yuck is a rabbit from a Disney cartoon, says Luke. I feel like that one is quite out there, that theory. This has got nothing to do with Edge. Why would he tease a new character to continue a feud we know is going on? There's nothing that says this is a new character. And again, that's why you have to bear some of this in mind. People have got theories on White Rabbit, and those theories have now become fact to a lot of people. And that's kind of one of the purposes of this live stream. There's nothing about White Rabbit that says this is a new character. This is potentially us following the White Rabbit to a destination. And actually, that's what Alice in Wonderland was. She follows the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit might not actually be anyone. The White Rabbit might be the White Rabbit that we're already seeing it. That might be the White Rabbit. We are following the White Rabbit. Where this leads and what the reveal is, that's what we're going to find out. But this isn't necessarily a new persona for someone that's going to be based on Alice in Wonderland or based on White Rabbit. This is leading us to a return or to someone coming back or somewhere along that. Or yes, a new persona. It could be a new persona, but that is only an option. It's not a guarantee. And as we said, the fact that this is leading us to a person is only an option and not a guarantee. This could also be an announcement. This could also be a brand new show, a new kind of whatever. I think that's less likely. I mean, all of these you can rank in like likelihood, and you can put them and sort them in likelihood. But and so you can say, I don't know, a new persona might be the most likely, but it might not be. It might just be a return. So I've had people saying that on Twitter as well. Like, Edge doesn't make sense. Like, why does Edge need a new persona? But the truth is, he doesn't. He just needs to come back. And this could be the way of bringing him back. Nev, shout out to you. I hope you are well. Primo said, I just checked the calendar from where Roman won the title was August 30th. And the date that lands on 1,000 days is May 27th. Would you like him to hold the title past then? Yes. Don't know what that connects to with White Rabbit, but yes, Primo, I would. We've spoke about that before. Daze, what if Cole is the boy that was saying he had the whole world in his hand? Well, Adam Cole. When Cena Bray Extreme Rules 2013 in a steel cage. I don't know what you mean. The little boy that interrupted that cage match that was singing, you think he's going to play a part in this? I would say that's quite an out there theory. Alexa Bliss Gamer said Alexa Bliss was called multiple times the spawn of the Fiend, which means at WrestleMania 37, she killed her father. Sean G, shout out to you. I'm really interested in this leaked. I am thinking of wrapping this up because I'm really interested in people keep telling me about this leaked game. If you've got any more information on that, feel free to send that over. People are talking about this leaked game, and this leaked clue. I can tell you no one on Twitter has sent that through to me, though. And just looking at Twitter right now, I still can't see any mention of it. So if this is true, that there has been a leak of a third clue, it has not played out yet. It has not played out yet. Or it's not played onto social media yet. So that will be something worth keeping an eye on. That's one of the biggest takeaways I'm taking from this, is this information about potentially a leak this evening of the third clue. Moldy said, I'm too drawn into it being Bray. Being a big fan, I just can't help it. Anyone other than Bray would be a downer now. I can't help myself. Sean said, thank you. New to the channel, and I do enjoy the content. I'm really pleased about that. Shout out to you, Sean. The leak was on Reddit, but it has now been deleted, says Lee. Scott said it was posted earlier, and the Reddit page was deleted immediately after. Brian said it's tic-tac-toe. So people saying that now has been deleted. Well, I really do want to go and have a look into that. The only thing I can think is that it could be genuine. I don't know why it would get leaked that way. I have to think there's probably high-level security around this. I think they know how important this campaign is. But, of course, things get leaked, so it could be true. But equally, like, could it be... I mean, were there screenshots, or was it just someone saying, like, this is what it is? Because, again, you know, that could just be someone making stuff up. You've really got to be very, very cautious with this. Even if I see a screenshot of something, part of me will wonder, is this real? Or is this now people... seeing just how impactful this White Rabbit campaign has been, wanting to, play their part, basically. The leaked White Rabbit game, Cultaholic has reported it, says Brian. Well, I will have a look at that, because at the moment, they are the only ones that seem to have any kind of information on it. I can't see anything on it, so I will go and jump into that. There are no screenshots, says Jane. Okay. The leak was a red heart playing a purple club. It was on Reddit this morning. It was the same person that leaked the Maze game. I wasn't aware that the Maze game leaked. The Maze game actually didn't. The Maze game, I believe, was a link on WWE. WWE.com/feedyourhead. If you actually typed that in, it took you to the game. And I believe that is how someone found it. I'm not aware that was found and discovered through Reddit, though. So this, I must admit, is one of my favorite parts of this stream, this conversation we're having now. I'm finding this very, very interesting. I'm not aware of these leaks. Shame there's no screenshots. I do think you need to take that then with a pinch of salt. And... yeah, very interesting. I just looked. It's been deleted. I should have screenshotted it, said 1987 Big Fan. Definitely, because this is not a conversation that's being had anywhere. So, yes, I would say that was very interesting. Tic-tac-toe, is that X's and O's? I believe it is. Did you spot with the Maze game, the White Rabbit, you can't go up and right, and the only direction you can travel in is the shape of a 6, said Shakanelli. I didn't. I think that the game doesn't have any hidden mysteries to it. Someone on our Discord, and I don't know how they've managed to do this, but someone on our Discord was able to actually get the code for the game, and you can actually see like the game in like 0s, 1s, and 3s. Like you can see it in digital form, and so there's nothing hidden in there apart from what you can see. That's all there is. So how they managed to do that, I have no idea. But they managed to actually get it in code form, and they were able to show me the code. It was like looking at the actual matrix, and they were able to show me the actual code. And, yeah, as I said in there, it's literally just either nothingness, white blocks, fire, and the door, and that was it. Trenton said, an interesting tweet from Wrestle Votes that I will tag you in. Please do. Please do. What if it's Eric Young, Killian Dane, and Wolf? They've been hinting and teasing a reunion, said Primo. Could be. James Dempsey said X and O's is noughts and crosses in America. Cross. Interesting. Harry said on the match card for Extreme Rules for Drew versus Karrion, in the top right, there is a 6. What does that mean? Thoughts? Yeah, I did see this. There is what looks to be a 6 in the top left corner. Thoughts on that? Don't really have any, to be honest. I think it's interesting. I certainly do not think it is a sign that that's confirmed Wyatt's coming back, Bray Wyatt's coming back. But of course, it does make you think of Wyatt 6 and Wyndham 6. So, of course, it does make you think that way. But, can't really explain that, to be honest. That one is very interesting. The fact that there is what looks to be a very clear 6 in the top left corner. Storm said it has to be Bray. If not, I will be disappointed. What would be your reaction if it was Adam Rose? I would be shocked. That would be my reaction. I would be shocked. But as I said, I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping an open mind and just making sure that I enjoy the journey. So what's this from Wrestle Votes? Asked the source about the White Rabbit. Oh, I've seen this. So asked the source about the White Rabbit deal. Source said while he suspects it's Bray, he said it's being withheld from everyone. WWE has been able to draw significant interest without it being a TV storyline, and they are keeping it as quiet as possible. So there we go. Trenton, shout out to you. Daze, can you let me DM you on Twitter? I've noticed an interesting connection. Sure. Send me a message if I'm not following you back, and I'll gladly follow you back. If you follow me, I always try to follow back. But of course, if people follow me, say, whilst I'm asleep or whilst I'm streaming, that can obviously get missed. So there's plenty of people I'm not following back, but it's for no reason other than I never actually saw when you followed me in the first place. So yeah, if that is the case, just drop me a message saying, can you follow me back? I will always look to do that. Austin said, hypothetically, if it's not Bray, should people stop expecting Bray every time WWE does something cryptic and wait till we see him? No, no, I don't think there's any problem with people thinking this is Bray. I think there is a problem with people that can now not change their mind that this is Bray. I've got some pretty nasty messages, to be honest, on Twitter and in YouTube comments from people that are saying, if you can't see this is Bray Wyatt, you're an idiot, and this is 1000% Bray Wyatt. Like, why would you say it's anyone else? I don't really quite understand that mentality, if I'm being honest. I'm struggling to understand where those people are coming from. Because there's lots of connections to Bray, but I've seen, I think, pretty much every connection here. I mean, like, people obviously send a lot through me, and I have seen nothing that 100% confirms that this is anyone. I've seen nothing that confirms this is anyone. There's lots of little references, lots of little coincidences, lots of little hints. And we did a whole theory ranking video where I actually took the 25 best theories and I said, I think this is great. I think this is a really strong link. I don't think this is very good. I think it's a weak link. And we sorted out like 25 different theories. And there's some really good ones that connect to Bray, but there's nothing that 100% connects this to Bray. Just as if there's nothing that 100% connects this to anyone. Whoever has come up with this has done a fantastic job of muddying the water and making it so that you could connect it to a few different people. So my personal feeling on this is that you are right to look at this and think that it is Bray Wyatt, right? You are right to do that. And you've got every right to do that. And you've got every right to believe it's Bray and not want to believe it's anyone else. That is your right. I think where the problem comes in is if you are then the kind of person that will then start attacking others that don't think the same way that you do. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's something that I think as a wrestling community, we shouldn't really tolerate and we shouldn't really be standing for. Because not only have I received those comments, but I've seen other people on social media receiving those comments where, they are saying, I think there's a good chance this, all they're saying is, I think there's a chance this could be Edge. I think there's a chance this could be Aleister Black. I think there's a chance this could be Karrion Kross. And seeing those people being attacked is concerning, to be honest. Concerning, because this should be a fun thing that people are encouraged to take part in, and they're encouraged to share their theories and thoughts and have fun with. I mean, this whole thing, if it's not fun, what is it? So seeing these people being attacked by, I have to say, it seems to be hardcore Bray Wyatt fans, like hardcore as in, like, I don't know if they're hardcore Bray fans or they just hardcore will not tolerate the idea that this is anyone different. I don't know if it's because they're so desperate for it to be Bray, they can't accept that it could be anything else. I really don't know. There is some, it's not much. There's not loads of it, but I've received those comments and I've been more, I mean, that does not bother me. I receive those type of comments every minute of every day, so I'm not bothered by that. I'm very desensitized to that, but it bothers me more when I see other people receiving them. And certainly if there are other people in my community. So I've seen people in the comments share their thoughts and then in my YouTube comments be attacked by these people going, you're an idiot. How can you say this is anyone other than Bray Wyatt? It's I've seen people say by this point, it's basically confirmed that it's Bray Wyatt. And it's like, no, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It's just, no, I'm sat here having seen every theory, had every kind of conversation around it. And even I'm saying that nothing is confirmed. So yeah, just not something that I want us to like dwell on or anything like that, or really talk about too much. But if you I think it's worth mentioning. I think, as a wrestling community, we can do a bit of a job of kind of cleaning this up a little bit. If you are seeing people that are attacking others in that way, I don't know if you have a word or not, but just all I would say is make sure you're not one of them people. Just make sure that you are someone that if you've got opinions, share them. But I think this attacking other people for their opinions, as long as their opinions aren't hurting anyone, like, they're free to do that, aren't they? So yeah, there has been some negative stuff that's come out, but hey, you're going to get that. That's nothing to do with Bray fans, and it's nothing to do with this White Rabbit campaign. It's everything to do with humans. Like, you could do anything and this would happen. So, as I said, it's just sadly part and parcel of it, isn't it? Primo said, I was listening to Sean Ross Sapp's stream. He said this, could have been for Karrion, but it's now shifted and navigated to where we are now. I think for me, Bray Wyatt is a front runner. I think Alexa is up there as well. I think this could be the arrival of someone brand new, and that could also be in the mix. So this is why I'm saying if you was 100% Bray, that must mean you're 0% everyone else. And for me personally, I would just struggle to say that this is 0% Alexa and this is 0% Edge, 0% someone new, 0% Aleister Black, 0% Joe Gacy, 0% whoever, right? Finn Balor or whoever, right? And it's all 100% Bray Wyatt. For me, we're probably around 40% Bray Wyatt. Maybe even sneak into 50% Bray Wyatt. And then I think we're maybe, 20% for Alexa, something along those lines. Maybe 20% someone new. And then everyone else is kind of carved up with the rest. So I feel like Bray is an absolute front runner. And I think that my thoughts on this have definitely evolved from when I first saw it. I mean, when I first saw it, my first thought was Karrion, because I saw the hourglass, and the hourglass is just so synonymous with Karrion Kross. So my first thought was, it's Karrion. And then, as I said, as we've got more clues and the conversation has evolved and you guys have brought more theories, it's undeniable the amount of links there are to Bray Wyatt. So, yeah, I'm very much of the opinion that Bray is now moving to being a front runner. But just, again, keep preaching it. I feel like I say it so often. If you watch the channel a lot, I would imagine you're bored of it by now. But just keeping an open mind. Enjoying the journey. That's what it is. Enjoying the journey. Jacob, we're going to stick around for 8 more minutes, and then we will have done 2 hours, which is much longer than I was expecting to do. But I think the first hour in particular was hopefully really useful with just like chucking out a lot of like recent theories. I would say this second hour has been very interesting for me to get your thoughts and get your opinions, but also I think finding some stuff out. I have learned some stuff on this stream. So that for me has made this definitely worth it, because I'm really interested in that thing that leaked on Reddit. If that does prove to be true as well, and Rhea Ripley is and Riptide is something that's going to come out of it, then I think that is going to be very interesting. And that, just to give you a heads up, that is definitely then making me think these are clues pointing towards members of Judgment Day. Now, what that actually means, we're not 100%, because Bray could come back and go after Judgment Day. So it doesn't mean that it's not Bray. You know, if Rhea Ripley is a clue, this does not mean that it isn't Bray, but it could mean that he's coming back and he's got Judgment Day in his sights. Or it could mean that it's Edge, and it's Edge that's coming back again, and Edge is coming back and coming after Judgment Day. But if Rhea Ripley is going to be the clue, or Riptide is the clue, and that very much points to Rhea Ripley, I think Judgment Day then really takes center stage when it comes to everything we're looking at. So, yeah, that clue tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting. And I'll tell you what as well, if that clue tomorrow is going to be Riptide and Rhea, and it's going to be everything that's come from that leak is also going to be very interesting, because all of a sudden, whoever leaked it, whatever their name is, their profile on Reddit is going to be much sought after. That person is going to be seen as a very reliable source, as having clear connections to the inner workings of this White Rabbit thing. So, yeah, whoever that is will become very interesting as well. I mean, right now, I'm interested in it, but apparently there's no screenshots, and it is just talk and some details. But I don't know. I don't know if these details are true or not, to be honest. I mean, I need to watch that Cultaholic video, of course, because apparently that's where the information was. But yeah, I can't wait for this next one. Primo said it's a similar situation to Money in the Bank, where you've got 8 women in a match. You can't be 100% on someone, because you have the front runners that are more likely. You'll get one correct, but you can't get your hopes up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think Bray is the front runner, and I think that you can have varying degrees of confidence. And listen, you can be 100% confident that it's your life, and that is your prerogative. But I suppose my request would be, don't attack others if they don't share that kind of same opinion. That's the only point. Chad Younger said White Rabbit is Waylon Mercy. Manuel Luis Pereira, shout out to you, says hopefully it's Bray, and hopefully it's a new Wyatt family. That is definitely what I would say. I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I feel like the majority are hoping for. I put a tweet out saying, what's your favorite theory that you've seen? And overwhelmingly, the response was a new Wyatt family. A new Wyatt family is what people were hoping for. So just judging on the responses that I got, it seems like that is definitely what a lot of people are hoping for. Jacob said, do you think we will get more details tomorrow? Yes, I do. I think we will get the third clue, yes, on Raw. I don't think we'll find out exactly who it is, but I think That was the whole point, really. I was really trying to think, how can I make this live stream like matter, or like what can I put into it that I think people will genuinely or hopefully take away and think, well, that was worth watching, because I want these things to be worth watching. So I spent a long time going through the latest theories, things we hadn't spoke about. And I just found that there was 2 to 3 that really rely on that third clue. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to discuss. So that's kind of, for me, the big point of the first hour is this third clue is going to really help point us in a certain direction. So, yeah, I think this next one's going to be quite important. I will laugh if they just stop with QR codes and we don't get anything, said Jason. Mike said, can't have a Wyatt family without Luke Harper, but we can have a Firefly Funhouse stable. Bob said, he's put a lot into everything he does. He's the only one I can see that takes this far. Wayne said, Kross, Alexa, Braun, Rowan, and Bray as leader. Alex Bliss Gamer said, I'm 90% Bray and 10% Alexa. Does that mean you're 0% anyone else? So you don't think that this is anyone else that's returning? Again, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just say, just bear in mind, this might not be a new gimmick. This might be leading to a return. I think that's actually something that not enough people are talking about. And that's something that I think we have touched on, and hopefully we got the message across, that this might not be a White Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland gimmick. This might not be a new persona. We are following the White Rabbit. We are seeing where these clues lead us, and we are seeing where this takes us, and where this takes us and where this leads us could just be the arrival of someone new. Like, this could lead to the main roster debut of Joe Gacy, and he doesn't need to change his gimmick. He doesn't need to be anything different than what he is. He could just be exactly the same as he is. But we have followed the White Rabbit. We've gone down the rabbit hole, and it has led us to Joe Gacy, or it has led us to Aleister Black, or it has led us to someone. And as we said, they don't need to change who they are. They don't need their gimmick to reflect White Rabbit, or they don't need to have White Rabbit play as their entrance song or anything like that. It could just be that this is an isolated campaign to get us to where we need to get to. So it's worth just bearing that in mind as well. Just because I think it's interesting thought that I think some people might not have considered. Alex said, out of topic question, would you like bragging rights to replace SmackDown versus Raw at Survivor Series? Have survivors for maybe the best feuds from previous years? Not really, to be honest. For me, I think just go back to how Survivor Series was with... I like the War Games idea, but I think I would like... And I don't know if this is what they're doing, but I would like War Games and Survivor Series to kind of coexist. So I like the idea that you do an elimination match within the confines of a War Games structure. So you do Survivor Series within War Games. Don't do it where people are tagging in. Just do it where everyone's fighting. And if you get pinned or submitted, you are then told to leave the War Games cage. And it just whittles its way down, basically. And it works its way down to the team that's left. And I made a comment during a watch along, which, again, probably a lot of people didn't get a chance to see. I said, I think that whoever survives should get title opportunities. So not everyone that was on the team, just the people that survive. So if you're a team of 5 and you win, but 3 people got eliminated from your team, the 2 remaining members get title opportunities at some point within the next 12 months. Because I think that you need that match to have real repercussions. I think you need that match to have like something tangible. And I think a title shot is tangible. I think that is a real prize. You know, think you have to win a Royal Rumble to get a title shot. You have to win an Elimination Chamber. You have to win a Money in the Bank. So, you know, being a survivor in Survivors, putting yourself through a War Games match, surviving it and getting to the end of that and not being pinned or submitted, I think you deserve something for that. And I think a title match would be good. Different to Money in the Bank, because Money in the Bank is a briefcase you cash in, whereas with Survivor Series, if you survive at the end, you would have to say, I want my match in 2 weeks' time. Like, you have to say to Adam Pearce in advance, I would like my title match now. And you have to give at least, say, 2 weeks' notice or something along those lines. And then that would be different to Money in the Bank. So, and you've got 12 months basically to call for your title shot. So, yeah, that's something I personally would look at. I know we're away from White Rabbit, but just whilst we're on the conversation, why not? Right, I think we're done anyway. I think we're done. So 2 hours on White Rabbit. We did all the latest theories and everything in the first hour. Then some really interesting stuff from you guys. Really interesting conversations. I want to go off and watch that Cultaholic video. Just see where we are with that. I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone that joined us tonight, because we don't normally do these Sunday night streams. They are something that I want to do a little bit more, because Sunday night is something that we've never really done much on. And I mean, look, I'm free, so it's never a problem to actually do a stream. I've just always wondered, like, what would we watch? What would we do? But of course, we don't need to watch or do anything when you've got a conversation as big as White Rabbit is at the moment. So that's why it makes a lot of sense to do that this week. And yeah, we'll see kind of what next week brings. Maybe we'll do this again next weekend. So a big thank you to everyone that joined us. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep sending your thoughts, your theories. Keep sending all of that stuff through. As I said, the Discord link is in the chat. So you can click on that, go to the Discord, and share your thoughts there. Of course, we're going to be live for Raw as well. And we start an hour before. So even if you don't want to join us for the actual watch along, and you just want to hang out in the hour before, we're here for that. And then we do the watch along where we watch it. And as you can imagine, talk about White Rabbit and everything as the show is happening. And then we do a post-show review as well. So we really do cover all the bases. So a big thank you to everyone that joined us. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.